Ho, ho, ho. Now I have a... Alright guys, well I'm back today with what I am considering the ultimate roller lock in my collection. I just acquired an HK SP5. HK didn't send this to me. I don't even think they'll talk to me. This one was purchased by myself, used, but in like new condition, and I absolutely love it. I've been reviewing a lot of high value and budget roller locks lately on the channel, and this is not necessarily something that I would run out and go grab just because I wanted a roller lock. This is something that you get because of not necessarily just the collectability of owning a real HK, but just the idea of having a true German-made HK MP5 or really SP5 in this case. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nice, it's refined, but if you want something just to work and run down at the range, I've reviewed a lot of other roller locks that get the job done at about a third of the price of this HK, but is there still a place for it in your collection? Absolutely, as is evident with this video right here. It just took a lot of saving to acquire this one. Now we're going to start from the front, work our way to the back, talk about the specs and features, how it ran down at the range. But before we do, I want to give a huge shout out to AAC for providing a lot of the ammo that went through this setup. In particular, a lot of their 115 as well as their 147 grain. Their 147 grain is subsonic out of this setup, and it runs like a dream. And this whole setup ran like a sewing machine with AAC ammo. For more information about that, you can always check out the campsite page and go through some of the other videos. We also ran this with and without a can on the end, and the can I used exclusively was this Dead Air Wolfman in 9mm with a tri-lug attachment at the end of it, and it works out great. If you haven't tried the Dead Air Wolfman, it's a really good can. Now at the front, you do get the 1/2x28 threads and tri-lug, which seems to be standard across the board on all of the roller locks that are kind of here right now, except for the flat nose, no thread, no tri-lug versions. Those are obviously completely different, but this two type of attachment system with the 1/2x28s and tri-lugs works out great for a wide variety of other things. You've got the standard front sight and this traditional triangle handguard. Now, these are really easy to swap out, but I'm leaving this in its original configuration simply because I want a true kind of HK MP5 feeling pistol. And this does a good job protecting and shielding your hand from the heat. And it is super simple to swap out if you want to kind of play around with it a little bit and then go back to the original. Moving along to the receiver itself, the fit and finish is absolutely spectacular. And these guys have done an amazing job with the welds, the build quality, the fit and finish, and the overall refinement of this firearm. And that's one thing you'll notice about the HK over some of the other Turkish imports is the refinement on the HK is next level. I've shot and owned probably about 4 or 5 imports, and this one just feels smoother. out of the box, runs smoother out of the box, and has a little bit better refinement. Again, is that means those other ones are junk? Absolutely not. Their fit and finish on some of those are absolutely spectacular as well. But again, this is 3 times as much. You are getting better quality. Moving along to the kind of upper receiver itself, the bolt is super smooth out of the box. That charging handle is super smooth out of the box, and we did check the bolt gap on this setup with a no-go and go gauge, or a go and no-go gauge, and it passed both of those. And that's what I expect out of an HK, but we did run a lot of rounds through it. This was a used setup, so I did want to check that bolt gap to make sure everything was good to go, and it is no issues whatsoever. Rear sight is standard. And then you have the ability to add those kind of claw mounts on the top of this guy. But again, I'm not doing that, not adding a claw mount to this. I am just running it as it comes. SB Tactical on the back, or you can do that standard pistol attachment. Works out great either way. I personally love the SB Tactical. There's nothing like it kind of competing with it in my opinion. But I have trying to try some other things, at least this drop-in kind of follow the rails lineup of braces. The trigger on this was pretty good, fairly standard for a roller lock, nothing to write home about, but overall it's been running great at the range, which brings me up to my reliability. 100% functional, absolutely no issues whatsoever. It just ran, and it ran good. Again, with that AAC 115, with and without a can, 147 with and without a can, it was fine. With a can, super hearing safe with the 147s. Although on this channel, I technically still recommend you wear ear pro no matter what you're doing for liability reasons, but it was pretty darn good for me. It also just chugged along and ran like a sewing machine, and the ejection pattern was fairly consistent, especially when you threw a can on. It launched those shell casings and landed in a nice little pow. Now, mag compatibility, we got to use a lot of HK made in Germany mags in this. That was the cool thing about this one. Come with a lot of mags, and it worked out great. Those 20 round mags did just fine for this for YouTube purposes. We also ran some other 20 round mags in here with I guess the Max stamps, so Turkish imports. We also ran some polymer ones. I didn't have a single mag have an issue at all with this setup. Now, some of the 25 round mags we used in here for YouTube purposes worked great as well. So everything in here worked out perfectly. No mag compatibility issues whatsoever. In summary, I like it. I'm glad I've added this to the collection. I think I have more practical roller locks in my collection with different rail systems up front, different optics mounting attachments, but nothing as cool as this in my collection. It's going to stay in its original configuration, and if I pick up a roller lock for more practical purposes, I mean, there's so many 9mm you can pick up, but if you do want to get one to really use as a defensive setup, having that M-lock with the lights, the lasers, the optics, different things like that is going to be key. I'm not doing it to this one. This one is more of a collectible range toy for the channel that I'm going to be running hard. I've been running it a lot. I've fallen in love with it. I think you will too. If you can snag one, I think they're worth it, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you ever spring for the full HK, or are you just sticking with the clones and the imports? Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.